Okay, so this video is just a recap or a review of the grammar that we have been working on. So first, let's talk about what is a sentence. So a sentence has a subject, who or what did it, and a verb that shows action or state of being, and then obviously it starts with a capital letter and ends with an end mark. A fragment is something that can't stand by itself, so it is missing a subject or a verb. And so, for example, let's look at these sentences. John ran across the field. That has your subject, John. Ran is your verb, and it can stand by itself. So therefore, it is a sentence. He makes the best chocolate chip cookies in the world. Also, subject, verb. So that is also a sentence. My hairy neighbor who drives the Camaro. So it has a subject, my hairy neighbor, and it has a verb, but this verb is describing the subject. So therefore, it is actually not a complete sentence. It can't stand by itself, so it's a fragment. Do your homework. So the subject is you. It is a sentence. Or another fragment might be ate a sandwich. It's a fragment. Or shop sandwiches and cheese. Also a fragment. The fragments don't stand by themselves. That's all you really need to remember. Okay, now, compound sentence versus a simple sentence. So a simple sentence is just an independent clause. That is your subject plus your verb. Subject plus verb. A compound sentence is when you have two independent clauses combined, and they're combined with a comma and a conjunction. So the conjunctions are fanboys, or, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. John ran, comma, and he fell down. So this is a simple sentence, has your subject and a verb, it's an independent clause. This is also your simple sentence, subject, verb, independent clause. They are combined with a comma and a conjunction. Thus, it is a compound sentence. So read the following sentences below, rewrite the sentences, and combine them correctly using fanboys. So, for example, Marie didn't make the debate team, comma, and she felt very bereft, which means sad. A dour wind blew over the sea, comma, so the crew raised the sails with fortitude. Ostriches are not more ambidextrous than other birds, comma, but they live longer. And as far as a conjunction, it doesn't really matter which conjunction you put, as long as you put one. And put the one you think works. Sasha saw her ex-boyfriend at the store. Oops, don't do that. So she gaped. My cell phone is on the table, and I'm using it to augment my social network. Or I'll put 4 for variety's sake. Okay, so a run-on sentence is when two sentences are pretending to be one, or if more than two sentences are combined incorrectly. So for example, John ran, he fell down. That's two independent clauses, and there's nothing in between them, so it's run-on. John ran, comma, he fell down. Still a run-on because there's no conjunction. John ran, comma, and, that's your conjunction, he fell down, comma, and his mother got super mad, comma, so he had to go to the doctor, comma, but the doctor told him that he didn't actually sprain his ankle. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 independent clauses. Compound sentence is only allowed to put two together. So because it's more than two, it is also a run-on. So here's some examples. The grocery store is messy, comma, yogurt cartons are stacked in a clutter. That would be a run-on. 2, the birds were eating all the crumbs on the sidewalk. That is a complete sentence, independent clause, totally works. And 3, the study of medicine in the Eastern United States. That is a fragment. So this is an independent clause, and this is a run-on. Okay. Now moving on to dependent clauses. So a dependent clause is a group of words with a subject and a verb. It does not express a complete thought, so it is not a sentence and can't stand by itself. But the tricky part is a dependent clause has all of the elements. A sentence. These signal words are what make it a dependent clause. These are your signal words. So I'll delete that. You don't need to know it's an adverb clause. Signal words such as although, as, after, when, while, until, unless, because, before, if, since. These are all signal words. So here's the common rules for dependent clauses. If the dependent clause comes before the independent clause, it is followed by a comma. For example, because I woke up late this morning, I didn't get to eat breakfast. Or as I was running, I sprained my ankle. So these underlined parts are all dependent clauses. So now let's do this practice. Read the following 5 sentences. If they are correct, write C. If they are incorrect, rewrite them and fix them. After, and after is a signal word, after she cursorily went shopping, she remembered the egg. So that's our dependent clause, so we need a comma after it. When I eat well, that's our dependent clause, signal word, need a comma after it. I say amicable things to my students. If you have bad breath, that's a dependent clause and it has the comma. Good. When you lied to me, comma, comma, that's your dependent clause, you showed duplicity. Although she is benevolent, she is adverse to giving away candy. So notice in all of these dependent clauses, they cannot stand by themselves. They don't make sense. So if I said, although she is benevolent what? Or if you have bad breath, what? So finally, one last comma rule. If the independent clause comes first, then there is no comma before the dependent clause. For example, I would have subsidized my brother's education if he had struggled. But if the dependent clause is first, for example, if he had struggled, I would have subsidized my brother's education. There is a comma. I'm not entirely sure why, but that's the way English works. So let's look at these sentences. The teacher was ambiguous when she gave the instructions. When she gave the instructions is your dependent clause, and there's no comma before it. If I were a dissident is a dependent clause, there's a comma after it because it's first. I hate my room when my sister embellishes it with flowers. So the dependent clause in this case is second, so you don't need a comma. If I fritter away my time, dependent clause, needing a comma after it. I rarely get good grades. I am only inane because I'm stressed. So because I am stressed, that's a signal word. Dependent clause, you do not need a comma because it's second. I ate the broccoli after my mother juxtaposed it with cheese. Don't ask me why, but yeah, I guess broccoli with cheese is good. After my mother juxtaposed it with cheese, after is a signal word for a dependent clause, so you don't need a comma before it. I only have lethargy while I am with annoying people. So while I'm with annoying people is a dependent clause, and you get the hang of it. So hopefully this helped a little review of all those grammar rules, and thanks for watching.